there's a major difference in saying you support $2,000 checks and fighting to put them into law. Will Senate Republicans fight for a vote on the House-passed Cash Act? Or will they look some other way? Will Senate Republicans stand against the House of Representatives, the Democratic majority in the Senate, and the president of their own party to prevent these $2,000 checks from going out the door?
Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer today attempting unanimous approval of boosted checks for Americans in need, moments before Mitch McConnell just blocked it from consideration. The renewed Senate gridlock puts a vast and unclear path forward in McConnell's hands as Trump lashes out at senators of his own party in hopes it will lead to them signing with him on all fronts. Trump is demanding they approve the House-passed $1,400 boost he supports to the already approved $600 stimulus checks, leaving McConnell and Republicans with two options: vote to approve the money so many of them had fiercely shot down just a couple weeks ago, or defy President Trump. This is how the Wall Street Journal editorial board describes the political chaos caused at the last minute by Trump, with the fate of the Senate majority currently underway in Georgia. Quote, the president writes a $2,000 check to make Democrats a majority. And quote, a Donald Trump in-kind contribution to Minority Leader Chuck Schumer and Joe Biden. Meanwhile, McConnell delivered another, at least temporary, blow to Trump, announcing a final vote tomorrow in which he expects the Senate to override Trump's veto of the multi-billion-dollar defense funding bill, which McConnell called must-pass legislation. Let's bring in Peter Baker, chief White House correspondent for the New York Times and an MSNBC political analyst, as well as Democratic strategist Aisha Mills. Aisha, I'll start with you. What on earth is Trump's plan? And I know that's a tough question to ask anybody, but I don't see how this really makes any sense. He's putting the entire Senate between a rock and a hard place, even though he's going to be out of office in 22 days.
Indeed, he is. First of all, Jason, I love seeing you in the host seat. I'm so glad to be here with you. Man, this is all completely nuts. We are ending the year in this downward spiral of ridiculousness that is Donald Trump, which is how we started this year, last year, the year before that, too. I just want to say this. What we know that Donald Trump isn't doing is focusing on the people. And it seems to me that the Republicans in the Senate still aren't quite focusing on the people either. We just came through a holiday season where folks are broke. They have been suffering with COVID, with economic catastrophe. And we are talking about political football, jockeying. Is the Trump trying to get over? Is he hurting the Republicans? Is he supporting the Democrats? Like, we are still not talking about the fact that the American public is in dire straits right now. I don't think that's going to bode well for him when he leaves the White House and whatever it is that he's attempting to do with his life, because at this point, everybody's just going to need to hate on the man.
Peter, to quote many an angry football coach, the goal is to win the game. What's the game that Trump is trying to win right now? Or is the game just embarrassing Mitch McConnell, or is there no game at all and he's just twiddling his thumbs?
Well, look, in some ways it's a trick question, right? Trying to get inside of the president's head on something like this. I mean, how do you figure out what a president is trying to do when he doesn't participate in the negotiations for months, and then only after his administration signs off on the bill, both houses pass it on bipartisan votes signed off by leaders of his own party, does he then suddenly inject himself and say, wait a second, I don't like the bill? And it's a rather remarkable situation. And you're right. I think part of it is jamming McConnell, because he's mad at Senator McConnell, Leader McConnell, because McConnell, basically said, OK, we're done with this election fraud stuff. The president-elect is Joe Biden. The Electoral College has spoken. We need to move on. That, of course, angered President Trump, who still refuses to accept that he lost the election. And in some ways, I think his speaking out on this COVID bill is an act of spite against Leader McConnell. Because if you genuinely wanted $2,000 stimulus checks, you would have said something before both houses actually passed the bill at $600. So he didn't do that. To come in at the last minute suggests some discussion that other than just the substance of the bill. Now, is he going out on a high? No, he's going to lose two big legislative feats in the last days in office. He's going to have his veto overridden, looks like, on the defense bill. That will be the first time any veto of his has been overridden during his presidency. And he's going to, not get his way on this COVID relief bill and, go out on a low note. But he doesn't seem to care about that. I think he's just stirring the waters and drawing attention to himself. And if everybody else is upset about it, so be it.
And Peter,
Yep.
I have to find this out because this is what kind of amazes me about the Republican Party. You would think, because this isn't the only time Donald Trump has done this. This isn't the only time that he sat back. It's sort of like you're out with your friends. It's like, hey, where do we want to go to dinner? I don't care. I don't care. And then the moment you pick a place, they're like, oh, I hate that. I hate Italian. Are there privately Republicans saying, we can't wait for this guy to be gone because we're sick and tired of trying to negotiate with Democrats and having him come in the last minute and scuttle a deal? Are some of them privately saying they're relieved that this is soon going to be over?
Oh, yeah, no question about it. No question about it. Obviously, they would rather have their party in charge of the White House. But there's no question that the Republicans on the Hill are tired of this disruptive game because they don't know how to operate. They don't know how to govern. They can go through all the motions and do all the things that they think the president wants them to do, only to have him, cut the limb off from under them as they're out there hanging. And I think that they're tired of that. And so you're seeing, in effect, what looks like the beginning of perhaps a pivot from the Republicans, who are enough saying, okay, we're not going to go along with you on this defense bill, and we're not going to go along with you on this COVID relief bill, and we're beginning. Most of them aren't, but that's what the votes add up to at this point.
And Aisha, one of the things that's also got me about this is Mitch has no problem pushing through a defense bill, but he's going to drag his feet when it comes to getting checks to regular people. Do you think this is an opening for Democrats to potentially look? If he's going to scuttle it, why not go for the whole thing? Why not ask for more? When I think of a $600 check, my first rent check when I was in graduate school was $640 a month, and that was quite a few years ago. Is this an opportunity for Democrats to just push through and say, look, can we actually come up with an amount of money or maybe a monthly check to help people? Is this an opening?
It absolutely is. Let's remember that the Democrats already started off at a $3 trillion mark when, back in May, when they were attempting to pass a measure, the second kind of COVID relief measure. So the number has already been parceled down in terms of the total package of what the federal government is going to do to try to get America out of this bind. Absolutely, Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer, Democrats need to go hard and demand everything and then put it all on top of Mitch McConnell's head, because here's what's going to happen. When he loses those Senate seats in Georgia, now the Republicans are really going to be in a bind on the Hill and not be able to get anything done. And I think that they need to flex on them right now as a precursor of setting the tone of the relationship, of the working relationship that they're going to need moving forward under the Biden administration, and especially if the Democrats control both chambers. Now is the opportunity for the Democrats to flex. I don't know how hard they're going to do that, but remember, they started high and ended up quite low. And so I think they need to come somewhere back in the middle there.
If Democrats pull off those 2 seats in Georgia, they will flex, they will stunt, they will be doing donuts in the front yard of Mitch McConnell. Peter Baker and Aisha Mills, thank you so very much. When we come back, we'll look at the protests this year calling for changes to how citizens are policed. What's changed? Will they continue? And how some protests turn to full-fledged clashes with law enforcement. All of that coming up.